This Skill Builder project gets you to create a basic mannequin model from multi-span curves, which can then be posed to help in future design projects. And I've just given you this sketch of the final assembly, and then also these reference parts, which are just on a layer which I've got set to reference, which means I can snap to the reference curves if I want to. Now I'll start with this upper arm, and I'll use a circle, and I'll keep it as a periodic circle. And then I can just scale it roughly to size, and then pick CVs and start to move them. And you can see the benefit of the periodic circle, which stays closed and smooth as I sculpt the CVs. Now I can always change the number of CVs in the control panel by changing the number of spans. And you often find that you need fewer CVs than you think to achieve a shape. Now, over here on the lower arm, there's a sharp point. And there's also a lot of intricate shapes. So for this, I'm going to use a CV creation curve. And I'm going to set it to degree 3, as this will help to hold the fine detail. And then I'll start at the sharp point and approximately trace around the shape. And as I'm doing this, I'm thinking more about the distribution of the CVs than I am about the exact position. And I'm trying to get more in the tight curves and fewer in the gentler curves. Because all I can do at the start is just guess the CV positions as I place them, and then go back and start to move them around until I get the shape I want. And you do get better at guessing with experience, but it's still always a process of discovery and refinement. So don't be surprised if it takes a while to get the right shape. Now for this large thigh shape, I can copy and paste the upper arm, move it over here, and then scale it roughly to size. But I've got a sharp point here too, and I can't create this from the periodic circle. So instead I can use the Detach tool under Attach, and then split the circle so that it becomes an open curve. And then I can just pick the CVs and create the sharp corner. And if I find that now I have too many CVs, I can just pick them and hit delete to remove them. So then I can continue to try and find the right shape. And the distribution of CVs is often just as important as the positioning. So I can bring these down to the bottom here to give me more control where there's a tighter curve. But I don't have enough CVs to create this small indent here. So to create extra CVs locally, I can use the Insert tool on Object Edit. And this adds in an extra edit point, which gives an extra CV too, and you can see the preview here in green. So I'll hit Go, and I'll actually do Insert a couple more times as well. So that now I have extra CVs that I can use to create the indent. And you can see that the curve is a little bit lumpier now. And using Insert on these mannequin shapes is fine, but for our main car surfaces we try to avoid it, and instead increase the number of CVs using the control window. And on the drop-down menu you can go up to 9 spans, but if you need more than that, just type in the number. So I'll stop here, but you can continue to finish off all the other components. So next, if you want, these can then be grouped and named and put together using the object lister. And I've provided an example for you here to show you what you're aiming for. So I'll just hide the other items and I'll turn off this layer. And if I open up the mannequin layer, you can see that the grouped mannequin contains the upper body and the leg. And these in turn have groups within them. So if I pick this leg, you can see that it has a pivot at the hip joint. And that's really important, so that when I rotate it, it works like a leg should. And then within the leg, I have a thigh, but I don't want to move that. So I'll just select the lower leg and rotate that. And then finally, I can choose the foot, which has got a pivot point on the ankle. Now, if I then want to put him in a sitting position, I can rotate the whole leg again. And then finally I can choose the whole upper body and then recline that back. And if I open up the upper body node, I can get to the arm and rotate that, and the forearm. And finally, I can just tilt his head forward. So just use this as a way of practicing grouping, pivots, and naming nodes. And finally, just for fun, you can find an image and drag it into the view you're drawing in. And this is just a canvas image, so you can pick it and move it and scale it, and also use the transparency sliders to tone down the intensity. And then you can use that to create your own design for, in this case, the mannequin head. So for this Skill Builder project, the main task is to create the curves. But for an extra challenge, have a go at creating the grouped hierarchy as well.